Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Papstalk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, we have Mr. Stanley Miller, aka Lil Tuggz, on the show. Talk about his insane journey into the political sphere and everything that he's promised everybody. Hit the motherfucking intro. Mr. Miller, Mr. Tuggz, welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me, dude.
So, it's tradition around here, just in case there is somebody listening to this that doesn't necessarily know you. In your own words, who are you, Mr. Miller?
Well, I'm just a little 19-year-old who's trying to, work his jobs and continue to be harassed by police officers who are trying to grind up points so they get bigger paychecks, dude.
Bigger paychecks for the police officers.
Do you like explosions? How about fire? Is your car all busted up? Well, head on down to Carnage Motor Shop in the Sandy Shores Scrapyard and get your shit fixed today. Shit boxes, motorbikes, trucks. If it's got an engine, we're the experts. You ain't gonna see prices like this anywhere else. While you're here, why don't you pick up one of our repair kits, crowbars, or lockpicks and help support the Sandy community? Carnage Motor Shop, the craziest repair shop in Los Santos.
Just in case the people don't necessarily know this as well, let's dive into a little bit of your background, the brief history of Stanley Miller. Tell us a little bit about when you moved here and what kind of stuff you get up to.
My parents died when they were on their second honeymoon. My mom was doing things with the air pilot, and then my dad caught it and then beat the shit out of the air pilot, and it all got recorded on Instagram as the plane ended up crashing, which turned me into an orphan. So I turned to SoundCloud and started rapping, and I was taken in by like some really cool people, and they show me, how to live my life and stuff. And so, I've been doing all kinds of jobs like sanitation, toe twerking, grime. I've done some D6. I mostly just like to make friends, dude. And I want the best for everybody.
So with that history, you could say that you've worked every job under the sun. You know your way around all these different industries.
You could say that.
And let's talk a little bit about your run for office here and your deep dive into politics. When did that start? When did you start getting interested in that?
Well, I like to hang out a lot in the city, and so I normally know what's popping off and stuff. And Saturday night, I called my friend Archie Archer, who in the Civilian Oversight Committee.
Shout out to Archie, a friend of the show, yeah.
He was trying to help take complaint because the PD kept harassing me, and I got shot up by police, which I won a court case on. When I had my hands up, no weapon in my hand. I had friends who are getting thrown in for selling drugs apparently. And then the police keep dropping the cases because they're thinking things like if the local walk up to somebody, that's definitely a drug sale. It's crazy, dude. They got legally searching people. And I'm just what the heck, dude? And so I decide instead of I go to the oversight committee and let them know. But the problem is that the oversight committee didn't have any bite because the person that run them, he never around. And so the poor guys, they try to do their job, but it's fake,
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was talking to him, he's like, "Yo, Lil Tuggz, you voting?" I'm like, "What you mean, dude? Did they open the election?" And he's like, "Yeah." Nobody, I was shocked because I didn't know this. No, I didn't know anyone who do this. And then I found out what they did was they closed the application at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then immediately open up the poll before the candidate were able to explain what they were gonna do. So that really pissed me off because I'm that just make it so, the current mayor and deputy mayor automatically win because think about it. If you hear the polls open, you go there, you see a bunch of names, you're going to vote for what's familiar, not for what someone's platform is. And then it got worse. The only debate they had was sponsored by the current mayor, dude, that same night. And nobody showed up other than myself and Archie. And Archie I'm pretty sure got blackmailed because him and the mayor were going at it for like weeks on the Twitter. And then all of a sudden he backed out and support the mayor. I was like, what? What's going on? This is so crazy. So, I put in a last minute application with the idea that I want to make sure that the people know what's happening. And I want to see voting reform. So the application closed. There's a week where people can explain what they want. And then the polls open. Instead of like the head of the DOJ, Mr. Quain, grazing the mail and helping him win.
Yeah. There's do you feel like you've mentioned some inconsistencies, inadequacies with the PD, a little bit with the mayor's office and the voting system. There's a little bit when it comes to the workforce and the industries. Do you feel like you've gotten a grasp? You want to, this is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? This is something that speaks to you. Like you feel like you can bring change to all of these things.
Look, the thing is, I feel like the government keep trying to pretend like things are so difficult, and the reality is they're lazy and they're using fancy word to make it seem like only they people who in the ivory tower can make a difference. Let me give you an example. The current administration going around saying like, yo, we for the people, but then they do crazy things with the PD. Like for example, Mayor Mass stood up in this like debate that he set up, and he was like, yo, PD's getting so much better. I don't know about you guys, but the things that he did make the PD more psychopath. Let me give you an example. I want to do PD reform because, and I'll tell you what that means. When the mayor took office, he made all the paycheck for the PD $600. And then he made a system where when they give charges to people, they have different points. And things like weed and stuff, like I don't know everything because it's all hidden from the public. But what it does is if the PD grind out charges on people, they get bigger paychecks. So that turned them into a bunch of grinders, dude. Like, and they're going to ignore the 911s. They're going to ignore the actual problems. Instead, the more charges they put on someone, even if it's right or wrong, they get more points and that gives them more paycheck. So instead, I'm going to do away with that system and instead pay the hardworking officers $3,000 an hour instead of the $600. And then with the Reform Civilian Oversight Committee, if there's complaints made, depending how bad it is, entire PD gonna lose money. So for example, let's say they start off with $3,000 an hour. If they go and like a cop go and start harassing someone who didn't do anything, and that get reported to Civilian Oversight Committee, and they're like, yep, that happened. That might be minus 100 for their entire paycheck. If let's say they end up shooting up like the hospital because they're trying to, capture someone and they put all those lives in danger, maybe that's going to be minus 1,000 on their paycheck. And you might be like, well, isn't this collective punishment or whatever? That's one of the things that people was telling me. I'm like, no, this is how it works in other places, dude. Because if you don't like charge all of them, then they're just going to not do the accountability when there's 1 or 2 or 3 officers that are going out of line. They can just be like, oh yeah, we spoke to him, dude. There was an accident. No, that's going to keep them in check. So next time they out there and a cop about to do something dumb, they could be like, no, don't do that, dude. We're going to get fucked. Because they actually will get fucked, dude.
Yeah. Keeping them accountable. I think that's a great word. Holding them accountable is such a huge thing. And I, have sat down and spoken to a lot of people and have heard these stories myself from all sides of the coin. And it seems like this is something that we desperately need here in Los Santos.
And I also want to say that there's a lot of great cops, dude.
Yeah.
That want to like help the civilian. And that's why every week with my plan, the people gonna vote for the best cops of the week, the ones that actually make them feel safe and make them feel welcome. And they will be rewarded with free turbo and rebate on their repairs, dude. I want to talk about one last thing. Grinding is a problem in Los Santos. Everybody is out there grinding, trying to outgrind others by doing their G6 and grime and all this. And you ask yourself, why is that? That's because people can work as much as they want. Instead, I want to put a soft cap of 20 hours per job, and you can use per week. so that you can spend the 20 hours working, whatever your job is, make your money. But at that point, the paycheck go down to 50%. So you're no longer having to outgrind people to make your money. And all that money that the state gonna save, instead of pointing it out by these soulless bosses, that money is gonna get reinvested into more interesting things like G6 being able to do private contracting work at like the food plaza, or like private contracting work to like secure, I don't know, things. It's going to be used to open up some of these vacant buildings and open up bakeries and lockpick shops so that we can do lease to own for businesses. There's so much that can be done instead of just letting people sit in a truck all day trying to buy their favorite car. Instead, I want people to be able to touch grass and enjoy themselves.
That is music to my fucking ears. I'm very, very happy to hear that. And I'm pretty sure everybody listening to this can relate. I love that. As somebody that's been squatting here, spending a lot of time in this building, doing work that is somewhat payless. So we don't get a check at the end of these podcasts. I'm very happy to hear that other people will, start branching out and doing other things too, other than just some delivery jobs.
Precisely, dude. Why can you not apply for a little bit of money? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, someone could go make $100,000 a week, but the government can't save that money and instead give like a paycheck to people trying some things that liven it up. The last thing I want to mention is I want nonviolent felon to be able to be loyal. And you might be wondering why. It's because there's barely any loyal in the city, dude.
Yeah.
And it create a situation where 1 minute that lawyer is representing you, next minute they representing the PD, which means that lawyer is never going to work real hard for you, dude.
Yeah, that is true. There's a shortage, and I feel like a lot of people are being put off by it at the same time because it takes such a high barrier of entry to shadow someone and be legal aid and stuff like that when there is nobody around to really guide you through that whole system. That is very true.
And if you do, then next thing you know, a cop that want to get extra point and make more money, they end up arresting that person, be like, you reckless driving, dude. Oh, there's your buy license with Bozo, dude. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Stanley Milo, Lil Tuggz. And if the law don't, if the change don't make sense to a 19-year-old, they're probably bullshit, dude.
They're probably bullshit. And with that, we wrap today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Stanley Miller, Lil Tuggz, it is officially over. Once you say the 3 words, hit the outro. So whenever you're ready, hit that outro.
Hit the outro, dude.